Hi guys, welcome to the workshop. In today's video I wanted to share with you how you can make a cutting board from material that you can buy from Lowe's or Home Depot for about 50 bucks, so stick around. So all the materials for this project are things that you can find in Lowe's. I bought this piece of teak wood. It's a 1x16x3, and if you search everywhere in Lowe's, this is the only wood that you can use for a cutting board. And you can honestly take this board, cut out a shape, and have a cutting board right there. Finish it with some oil and you're done. But in this video I'm going to make an end grain cutting board that looks really nice, and then we're going to also apply some of Howard's oil for butcher block on it to make it food safe and ready to be used as a cutting board. So I began this project by cutting this board into equal strips, 2 3/4 inch. So you can actually cut this using a circular saw by doing this simple jig by using a straight edge and using it as a guide for your circular saw to cut a nice straight line. But if you have a table saw is definitely a much better option. But I wanted to show that you can use a circular saw. After cutting all the strips of wood to the width and length that I wanted, basically it was time to flip-flop every other board so that the pattern would alternate and so that the wood grain would alternate back and forth. And then I just offset them a little bit so they wouldn't look so uniform. Now these clamps that I have are pretty inexpensive at Harbor Freight that you could pick up. They're only a couple. I got a couple of them here, and I got a couple of them I'll use later, and they are definitely adequate for this. Now this glue sets up pretty quickly, so every time that I set one of these against the next board, I kind of squeezed it in a little bit so that I could get some pressure on it while everything else was while I was applying all the other glue. Now all the products that I'm using in this video are actually going to be linked down below, so if you want to buy all the different things that I'm using in this to do this, you can by following all the links down below. So once I got all these clamped in there, I just straightened them out by hand, and this was a part that I really regretted later on. Just a mental note to you, wipe off all of the squeeze out glue. It's much easier to do it before all the glue dries so that you have less sanding to do, because I ended up having to do quite a bit of sanding to get it nice and smooth. So I had to start sanding it so that I could even get a nice straight measurement. And then next I'm just going to go as wide as I can. I didn't really go for a certain dimension, basically just going for as wide as possible. And of course you don't have to stagger these as well. You can actually keep them all in line if you'd like the look of that, and it allows you to have a little bit extra width. So once again, I chose to cut this with my circular saw, my miter saw, but you can also cut this with a hand saw, and I'm using here a Japanese pull saw, and it works just as easy, just takes a little longer. So after all of the cutting and all of the preliminary sanding, it was time to do some finish sanding, and for this I used 120 grit, and then I end up increasing the size of the grit to 220 to get it really nice and smooth. And also took a piece of wood with a piece of sandpaper to go with the grain as best as I could in order to just get it really nice and smooth and round all the edges over. So here we're going to apply the Howard's oil to this butcher block, and this is actually butcher block cutting board oil, and it's perfect. They sell it at Lowe's. It works great, and I've used it for many, many years. Now, you only see me applying one layer, but I ended up doing this 4 times because for your first initial coating, you want to do about 4 times. And I like putting little rubber feet on the bottom of my cutting boards. And yes, it does take one side out of commission from being possibly used, but I prefer to have these nice rubber feet so it won't move around on my countertop while I'm cutting. So there you have it. It's a really simple but really beautiful cutting board with just really a quick cuts and some simple gluing up and some sanding. You can have a really nice cutting board to use in your house. Now this board and the oil together came up to around 50 to 60 bucks, but if you have to purchase all of the different tools to make this, it might be a little bit more. But thank you for watching this video. I hope this inspired you to make this thing, and if you're looking to make this, please follow all the links in the description to get the tools and things that I used in this video. Guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time right here in the workshop.